When we see people succeed once or twice, we get impressed and we say, hey, that's a miracle. When we see those exact same people succeed over and over again, we get astonished and we say, hey, that's a legend. But those people who are walking down their own path of somewhat a myth, a legend seen by other people, their footsteps are far more firm and certain. Those repeated miracles, they have something behind them. Isn't it fascinating how some of us can't even dream of a single miracle when other people are just out there seizing the dreams of their lives? Hey guys, it's Junward here, and today I want to share a topic that's been deeply enrooted in my mind for a very long time: the concept of miracles and how they work. You know, this whole idea of a miracle was always something undetachable from success ever since I was young, because I had the chance to witness a lot of people around me and people I would admire from very far away to get a lot successful and to experience all those miracles continuously. And that's why I always thought miracles would always lead up to success and something that's deeply related with success. And because I was young, I never had my own identity at that stage of my life. So all I could do was to try to learn or try to imitate the aspects or perspectives of other people and how they would also view success as. And because of that, I always thought miracles were something absolute and objective, because people had to agree upon things, certain things. For example, a lot of people would have had to be impressed in order to call a certain experience or an happening as a miracle. But as I grew up, my thoughts kind of changed after what I experienced off of. And that's the point. The soul the sole mystery, the sole key to the mystery behind how people can get success after success and just have all those miracles in a pot, is that people are human beings are creatures who can live off of what they experience. And if people are able to if people are able to internalize their experiences into somewhat a miracle, then that's going to have a huge impact on how they view other things or how they view their life as a whole. Because that happened to me. And that's why I want to tell in this video that you should define your own miracles. For me, I would have gotten nowhere, although I'm still pretty much in the same spot. I would have gotten literally nowhere if I would always compare my definition of miracles to others, right? Because back when I was 17, right, COVID just started. Maybe it was 16, I don't know. But COVID just started after I enrolled in high school. And then when I hit junior high, I changed. But before that, my life was literally in shambles. I would have this nasty habit of, feasting fast food every single day, like a pig. And my sleep schedule was all over the place. I would play games until I passed out on the floor. I was literally the most unproductive human being in the planet. Maybe not that much, but I was pretty close. And I lived like a total degenerate at that stage of my life. And at that stage, I still remember vividly how people would speak about my ambitions or goals. They would laugh at it, right? Because I had nothing to prove myself. I had nothing to show to anybody else or even the entire world of how much of a human being I was, right? So everything that I would say or everything that I would have in my heart was, trivial or meaningless towards other people. And because I could never get that affirmation, I started not to engage in those type of conversations. And still, still, the important part is I still managed, after 2 years of hard, dedicated work, I still managed to get into a decent college, a decent university that everybody else can be like impressed at least. And that itself would be comparatively and relatively be a trivial thing, trivial accomplishment when it comes to people who actually put in more work than me and who would have had better grades and who actually got into better universities than me, right? But that's the point. If you would have that mindset and if you would have that aspect of thinking miracle as an objective thing and that I or you can't achieve that absolute standard, then the experience, no matter how much you could have gotten out of that experience, is just going to be a waste of time and a waste of experience, to be honest, to be more precise, right? But for me, that itself was a miracle, right? Because I still remember those 2 years of hard, dedicated work after I lived like a degenerate. Once I tried to change, it isn't easy, right? It's hard and it's heartbreaking. It's mind shattering. It is so stressful because you know you're trying your best and you know you're not enough. But if you look upon yourself and if you reflect upon the person you were back a day ago or back a week ago or even like a year ago, if you have put that much time into your efforts, you'll see a difference. You'll see a difference that you are somewhat closer to the goal than you expected yourself to be. Because you know that your drive, your passion for a goal that looked like such a long way ahead, such a long way ahead is now slowly getting closer. And I know that feeling sometimes that feeling doesn't even exist. But what exists is that you are currently in a certain position in your life that you would have regarded as a miracle in the past. That's what matters. That's why internalizing your experiences that where you can actually feel as if it's a miracle gives you the same exact confidence boost. Gives you that same exact courage boost. It gives your passion another huge rush of certainty and belief inside it. Just like the people who we admire because they have accomplished such amazing things in their lives and then they are going for more. It's the exact same repertoire that those people are going through when you can decide whether your experience to be a miracle for yourself. Because if you do, and if you're able to do that, that means you are the one who's the owner of your life, right? You are the one who's proactively going out there, regardless of how much you reap and how much you sow, you're still the one who's doing the job. And that's why, if you can pull off a single miracle, regardless of whatever kind it is, then you have the belief, then you have the courage that you can pull off another one. And that's what I feel like is the secret behind to every damn success, right? If you don't have a single experience in your life that you can regard as a miracle, then you got to make one, right? But even while you make one, there's this belief that you yourself have to get in order to make that happen. And that belief gets stronger and stronger and stronger as more as you go, because the more you achieve and the more you can internalize your achievements and your accomplishments in your life, that's going to be the footsteps that's going to lead you to the next miracle. And personally, not even like, getting into a decent college or university is can be considered as a miracle. Like I was saying, to be more precise with my life experiences, I was a really, really stubborn kid, and I was a really douchey kid when I was young. So I was always an outcast, right? I lived far away from school than other kids, and until about elementary school, before I hit fifth grade, I never had any friends that I can call friends. I had classmates, but no one was really there for me to call as a friend. But then I met this awesome guy named, I don't know if I can tell the name just yet, but I don't know. I'll ask for his approval. Let's call him Harry by the meantime because his name isn't Harry. So this, you know what? Maybe that's gonna make some confusion later on when I make videos about that friend. So let's just call him friend A, right? Kind of feels very distant, but promise me, he's a really good friend. I've been friends with him for like 12 years, 10 years, a decade now. And he's an awesome friend. And he taught me more like his relationship with me taught me a lot of how I could be a better person and how I could view upon other people when I meet new people, right? And up till then, because I never had a valid experience in person to person relationship, that itself is also a miracle, right? Because, if you have a great friend, if you have more than one great friends, your life is pretty much set. There's like a an idiom for that, but regardless, as time grow on and time go on and after a decade now, I would I'm so grateful that I could have all of those experiences, all of the past experiences, and that I was able to share that with my friend, right? And people might people might nod their heads on this one because if you have a person that matters to you, for example, your family or your friends or your lover, for example, the first encounter is never planned, right? You don't get to choose to meet a person before you know who they are. You meet somebody, and then if you hit it off, then you're just lucky, and you just think to yourself, "Oh my God, now I have a great friend," or I don't know, a family member that I never knew about in the past, for example. But if you think in a little different way, where you think of it as a chronological moment, right? The first step could be a miracle because no relationships can start nor exist without your efforts, right? That's what relationships are. That's why if you have a great friend and if you have a great relationship with another person, that's a soul starting pedestal. It's like a soul step for you to have the confidence and, most importantly, the belief that you can meet great people from your life from even now on, right? Because it happened once, why can't it happen twice? That's the same exact mindset that I have right now. And that's why I always consider whenever I have a great relationship with someone and whenever somebody turns out to be a great friend after some time, every single time I would think about the first time how we would meet. And I know it's awkward, it's blurry, and it's really weird to be honest, but it's still a miracle to me that it happened and that I was also working hard to make it happen after to keep it happen after I met. In the end, those big and small events that you can call a miracle is the fuel that makes you unable to grasp and seize more miracles in the future. If somebody else doubts you And if somebody calls those precious and important things that you keep close to your heart as worthless or meaningless or call it trivial, is because they never got the experience, the exact same experience of a miracle that you have. That's why they can't understand you. But in order to achieve miracle after miracle again and again, you need that confidence. And most importantly, you need the belief that fuels your courage and your passion that you can make and succeed in what you want to. People get afraid. People get afraid because they think, hey, maybe this might not work out. Maybe this is trivial. Maybe, for once, other people are right when they're lashing out on me. Don't let other people decide what you can dream of. Don't let other people decide what is a miracle for you.